All right, how's it going, folks? Sorry, getting started a little bit late this morning, but ready to get going, I think. So let me do a quick introduction. Hello, everybody. My name is Tim. I go by foamyguy online, and in this stream, we're going to be working on CircuitPython. So if you don't know what that is, CircuitPython is a version of Python that runs on tiny computers called microcontrollers, and it's made to be very easy and very quick to iterate. So it's really good for beginners, but it's also really nice even if you're not a beginner, because you can quickly test out ideas on custom hardware. So you can join me in the chat. On the screen here is the live broadcast chat room in the Adafruit Discord. Adafruit is a company based out of New York. They sell hardware. Adafruit.com. They are the primary financial backers behind the CircuitPython project. So if you like the kind of stuff that I'm working on, if you want to support the project, one way that you can do that is by purchasing hardware from Adafruit.com. So please do that if you want to help support the project. They do pay me to make guides and other software and stuff like that, but this is not a paid stream. You know, this thing here is just for fun, but I do work for them in other capacities. Good morning, Dexter. If anybody, those of you that are here, I should say, let me know how the sound is. If the sound needs to go up or down, I can change that before we get going too far here. Adafruit makes all kinds of microcontrollers, sensors, breakouts, all kinds of stuff, and they also publish a ton of great content on the Learn Guide system. So learn.adafruit.com. You can come over here to find project guides and tutorials and how to do basically anything with any of the stuff that you purchase from them. Sounds good. Thanks, Dexter. I appreciate it. Again, you know, if you like the project, if you want to support it, that's the way to do it, is by purchasing hardware there. Today, on this stream, we're going to look at, I think, two things. Probably the most time I will spend is actually going to be back on the tiled map game stuff. Same stuff I worked on, I think, last week and started on a few weeks ago. Before I dive right into that, though, I do want to do one other thing. Speaking of the Learn Guide system, actually in the process of working on the custom fonts Learn Guide, and one of the things I want to do is have some example work actually that Jeff did, Jeff Epler, one of the core contributors for CircuitPython. Jeff worked on pulling in a fork of Font Awesome, which are like some icons. Here, let me pull it up here. I got the screen to show. Font Awesome. So this is the current project, Font Awesome. It's evolved a lot past what it was at one time. So the core idea is, like, they have tons of these little icons, and they have a bunch of different libraries for different languages that make it easy to integrate all these different icons. And there's ones for like basic concepts and stuff you can see here, all kinds of general concepts. There's also ones for like brands, for icons and stuff, so like GitHub and Twitter and Facebook and all of that kind of stuff. So they just make a ton of icons, and on the current ones, you know, you can see here, get more with Pro, start for free. On the current ones, you eventually have to start paying for it. But when this project started, early on, they were actually all published under an open license. So there is a thing called Fork Awesome, which is basically this group, this entity, whoever. This is just an open source project. I don't know. I'm sure there's like, primary people behind it. I don't know who it was. They took kind of the last permissively licensed version of Font Awesome, and they forked it, and they decided, hey, we're gonna keep running this kind of branch here. We're gonna split it off from the main one, and it's just gonna continue existing as long as there's people who want to contribute to it. So this is that. So this is, again, it's a fork of one of the older versions of Font Awesome, but it is permissively licensed, so we're allowed to use it, relatively freely. We can use it for pretty much anything we want in terms of CircuitPython stuff. The specific licenses are listed down here, so if you want to use it inside of some kind of business or paid application or something, you should take a look through the actual licenses. But that's the nice thing about this one is it's free to use. There's no paid version of it at all. And we are going to be allowed to use it for the purposes of making these example scripts, which is what we're trying to do with it. If you like Fork Awesome, by all means, definitely check out Font Awesome. I use Font Awesome in other projects. I have never used it in CircuitPython specifically, other than the little example that Jeff put together. But I do use it in other projects, and it's great stuff. So if you do like it, you can support them. It looks like by purchasing I think you get a subscription, and that gives you the libraries and stuff to use. So yeah, that's one way you can support the people who originated this stuff. But this Fork Awesome project is here on GitHub. You could star it, do all that good stuff. So Jeff worked on this. And what we want to do is basically grab the examples that Jeff made and make sure they still run. Probably PR them into a repo, like the bitmap font repo, probably. Definitely they'll get included in the Learn Guide. I think it would make sense to make an example script of them too. So I think, let's try CircuitPython. We can search on Jeff's blog, I think. But I don't know the URL right off the top of my head. Fork Awesome. Here we go. So, yep, this explains kind of the same stuff about Font Awesome at the top here. It's the last permissively licensed one. So Jeff, this is around the same time that there was work to add support for PCF fonts. Jeff did a lot of that as well. Hey, Jose, how's it going? Good morning. So the main thing I need is the font file and maybe the example script. So let's look for that. I think... So there, back when this was being worked on initially, there were actually some changes needed inside the bitmap font library in order to make this stuff work. Here we go. Oh, wow. Boy, that's awesome. Not just has the file for us, but has like the file in a ton of different sizes here. Wow. What do we want to use? I don't think we want them to be too big, but it is basically just an example that's going to show them. So there's nothing else on the screen. We can afford to go up a little bit. My PyPortal is kind of full, I think. Let's try 42. See where that gets us. And icons.py. So this is useful because in order to make the icons, you need to have, I don't know, whatever this is, Unicode ID or something. You need to have this string that maps to each one of those individual icons. So this is a helper file that you can, import those things as variables, and that way you don't have to know the Unicode ID for it. You can just use the variable name. So we want to save a copy of that as well. Does that go direct? Yeah. So let's go save that. CircuitPy. Icons. Let's call it Fork Awesome Icons, I think. Yeah. And did I download 42 already? Yeah. So let's grab that. Put a copy of that on the drive as well. And I think I have a fonts folder, so we can stick it inside there. Fonts. And I might have a copy 36. Yeah, I'm out of space again. Let me try to find some stuff to delete. Mono bold 8. If 8 is the size, why does a size 8 font so big? Let's delete that one. 3, that's another big one, but it's PCF at least. What is... That's fork awesome. What if we sort by size? Arial, I don't need Arial. I will go ahead and delete that one for now. I think that's checked into one of the repos, possibly. So the other thing I'm gonna do is look here. Probably have some big images or something. Yeah. We don't need any of these backgrounds. Or this cached, I think, art file or something from a test. Don't need blanket computer. That's probably good for now. And then my computer keeps a trash like recycle bin or whatever, so I need to delete this also in order to actually get space back. Okay, I should be able to paste the font now. Fonts, paste. Oh, okay, there it goes. Oh, did the chat freeze? No. Oh, right, I paused that preview. Duh. Okay. So that's there. We have our icons. I'm still using PyCharm directly on the device, so it's got its ups and downs. I ended up switching back to the autosave mode. I showed that last week. If you're interested, check out the beginning of last week's stream on, I don't remember if it was Friday or Saturday. I did Friday last week because Scott was gone, but it's at the beginning of one of those. And I showed how to set it up. I ended up having to change that back for the week just because like my normal workflow, I'm too used to it auto-saving, and I tried for a few days, but I ended up having to switch it back. But I do have it back now where autosave is off, so I'm working directly on the device again. Quick shout out, what I have running right now is pretty cool. It's the vertical, horizontal and vertical progress bars, the new progress bars that Hugo's working on. So shout out to Hugo there if you're watching or if you see it in the future. Anyway, thanks for all your work on this. This is really cool stuff, definitely. That's what was on there before, but I am going to change it up with the fork awesome stuff. So I think I'll just grab simple test to start with, like bitmap font simple test, which I think I have linked on this guide page already. This guide page is not live though. Let me pull it up here. Whoa. Copy. Can do it this way. Bitmap font, and we want the examples label. Okay, so I'm going to copy this, and we'll change it up to use fork awesome. That's got some extra stuff in it. We don't really want all of that. There we go. And I have TO open also for my terminal, so I can see the serial output. And by default, this just makes the pink text here that says hello world. The light's shining kind of bright, so it's maybe tough to tell. But we want it to be the fork awesome stuff, so we are going to change the font that gets loaded to fonts fork awesome 42, I believe is the one I saved. So one thing is actually PyCharm, you know, one of the really nice things about it is it will actually prompt me, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so we can just choose that. Fork awesome, we don't want to say hello world anymore. Instead, we want to we want to insert one of these things that we import from the icons file. From fork awesome icons import let's look at database. So then we imported database, we can say database here. So, you know, again, this is a really nice thing about having that helper icons listing library file, basically, is we don't have to care or know what the Unicode value for database is. Instead, we can just use that more descriptive variable name database wherever we want to insert it in. So is that it? That might be it. Let's give it a try. I'll go like this. No, wait. Let's go this side and shrink that, and this on that side. So let's try that out. Okay, there's our database. That's looking pretty good. We could scoot it down some more, maybe. I don't know, 50 or something. 50 should be big enough to move 42 all the way onto the screen. There we go. We could use anchored positioning as well. That would make it easier, but so that's cool. There's our database. Why don't we add maybe a couple others while we're here? But that's pretty much all we need, is to draw a few of these things on the screen to show folks how to use it. Let me look at the list of icons. Got a bunch of aligning. Let's see, do we have Python? There is. Let's do Python. Let's go. Let's just tack on some more here. Python, and we need to import it. So we just, again, I'm really used to PyCharm here. So Alt-Enter will prompt me to resolve the missing import there. So I just did undo to see it again. So this is red, Alt-Enter, and then the first option here, you know, it knows that that thing exists inside there, so it tries to import it. So that's cool. Save that again. We should end up with a database and a Python logo. Nice. The spacing is really close. We could just put a space in between maybe, though, like we do that. Maybe that should work. Yeah. Okay, let's check out our list again. Let's see if there's anything else interesting in there. QR code, React, ship might be fun, shield, skate, so like Stack Overflow is always good. What do we want to do? Subway. Terminal. Let's do terminal. Oops. Here we go. Nice. Okay, let's do terminal at the beginning. That way it looks like the Python and the database are what's getting typed into the terminal. Just for fun. Terminal, and let's do Python first, and then database. Database. I got more stuff underneath the microphone. Is the reverb or whatever, the echo in the microphone, is it any better this week? I'm planning on getting an arm still. I haven't done that yet, but I threw an extra cloth underneath it, so hopefully that dampens it a little better. There we go. terminal with Python and database. Almost the same. Okay. Yeah, this mic is surprisingly good at picking stuff up. So I think once it gets mounted up and away, though, it'll be a lot better. Do we want to change the color? I think pink's fine. Do we want to do anything else inside this? I think... I don't think so. I have a label. I'm curious, actually. Jose, what if we try, do you think this will work with, is it label direction? Label direction, top to bottom. So top to bottom, I think, is in label. Should work with these, right? Nice, yeah. Really cool. Do the spaces make extra room between? Yeah. Okay, so that's cool. I don't know if we want... I don't think we necessarily want that in our example. One thing I need to do, actually, though, speaking of the vertical, well, all the different directions that you added, I need to update the display text guide. So all of that stuff is in now. It's all merged in for bitmap font. I mean bitmap label and label. So I need to go back and document those in the Learn guide. That's on my list of things to do for maybe next week. Okay, so this is looking good. I think for the most basic example, though, we do want to keep it to standard left to right. So I'm going to go back to there. And one thing is, I don't know, can you mix words? Like if I put letters, do those render? No. So if you want to intermix letters with the icons, like if you wanted to have an icon, to the right and then, words off to the side of it or something, well, to the left, I guess your icon would be, you need to make two labels probably, or you need to modify, the fork awesome, right? Like fork awesome is an open thing. You can just grab the code. On Jeff's blog here, it has the TTF. You could probably modify that, or you could convert it to a BDF, and you could definitely modify the BDF. That's just a text file. And you could add some ASCII range characters to it if you wanted. That's a bit much, though. I don't think we need to do all of that. I mean, this is probably good. Let's get this back out and switch back to the cam here. Just make sure this is good. Nice. Okay. Yeah, do we want anything else? I don't think so. We can remove that comment. We can remove that comment. And I think maybe the one other thing I will do is scooch these closer to the center, or maybe even just center them all together. Like let's do anchored position. I'm bad about in my examples about just leaving stuff in the top left sometimes. Center looks a lot nicer, especially if you're taking screenshots and stuff. So let's go text area dot anchor. Hey. Okay. Cat's attacking something. Text area dot anchor point is 0.5 and 0. Text area anchored position. Did I spell that right? Whoops. We want that centered, so display dot width over 2, and might as well be centered the other way as well. Display dot height over 2. Whoops, 2. And I did double divided bys there so that it does integer math. It will, I don't know, truncate probably. If it gets a 0.5, it would truncate it. Ooh, that's awfully low. Well, it's because I did 0. Why don't we go 0.5 here as well? That's better. Okay. So, yeah. I think we can get rid of this. We can put this above these. We need a blank line. Pre-commit or black or something would add that for us anyway. We can change some of this stuff. And to display text, to display fork awesome icons. Yeah. Do we need anything else? I don't think so. Okay, so I think we want to PR this to bitmap font. I think we want to just go ahead and include these as an example in the bitmap font. We'll see. If not, then somebody can leave a review. We can close it off. But I think that's probably the best way to do it, because then other folks can discover this. Right now, you just kind of had to know that Jeff did this. He shared it on, I don't know, Show and Tell, I think maybe, or certainly talked about it during the meeting, the Monday meetings when he was working on it. But this way, folks will be able to discover it. One thing is we need to grab the license though, because these font files that we include, we need to make sure we have a license for them. So let's grab that as well. I think PCF. We can go back to ForkAwesome's GitHub, and they should have the license here. I think it was linked down there as well. We need to make sure we find the license that's for the font, though, because there's also the library that helps you use it, JavaScript and different languages, and that's not what we want. We want the font itself. So this is CSS files, less files. Should go down to those links. I think those links in the README had what we need. Creative Commons. Here we go. Okay. This is to all desktop and web font files in the following directory, fonts and all glyphs and SVG files in the following directory. So this is what Jeff started from inside the fonts directory, which is what that's talking about, is probably the TTF file. Here, yep, ForkAwesome web font TTF, which is the exact thing, I'm guessing the exact same thing that Jeff linked here. The name is a little bit different, it doesn't say web font in it, but it's because we're using it for CircuitPython, I guess, probably. This shows sizes. Yeah, 213K, that's the same size too. So that's definitely the file, so that's good. This is what the license applies to. Yeah, do we have, I'm gonna check out the README and see if those are linked individually, because I'd love to just Control-L, Control-C and make sure I don't mess it up. Yeah, perfect. Oh, maybe this is like a web page though. It's not really what I want, I guess. Oh, okay. So So plain text 1.1. What does this look like? It doesn't have the copyright stuff put in. Okay, back to the first plan. We're going to copy that out of this big long file. So copyright starts here. Copyright. And we want to grab everything that's in this OFL, which nicely goes to the end for us. Bitmap font, new file, fork, awesome, 42.pcf.license. So we use a tool called reuse in pre-commit, reuse, reuse, which enforces that we have these license files. So it has to match the exact name of the file that the license represents. So forkawesome _42.pcf.license now is going to be the license file for forkawesome _42.pcf. Right here. Yes, we want to add it. And the other thing we want to add is that icons list, which was called forkawesome icons. Code, no, bitmap font. So we're going to paste that here as well. Yes, we want to add it, and we want the script as well, this one. Bitmap font, label, fork, awesome. Paste. Okay. I think that's good. This does not have copyright stuff in it. I don't know if, let's see if we can figure out if Jeff made that or if that came from the repo. I'm guessing that Jeff made that one. Might have, like, it's kind of long. I don't suspect he probably did it by hand. Probably made a script or something to do that. Hey Johnny, how's it going? Let's just check and see if that's in this repo though, because that's the kind of stuff they said. CSS files, which is the same, like in those CSS files, it's got a bunch of classes that help you use this in HTML and CSS. So it's kind of the same thing. Let's see if they got Python. No, this is source SVG. Yeah, this are the raw files. Okay, so I think Jeff probably made this. I think what we will do is this was in, doesn't have a date. Does it have a date? It does. 2020. So we'll say copyright Jeff Epler 2020. Didn't put a license. It's probably safe to assume MIT. A lot of the CircuitPython work is MIT. We could maybe ping him on Discord and ask if yeah. Let me use this too, actually, American Sign Language. I want to see what that looks like. I saw a this is a tangent, unrelated to anything, but it's kind of cool anyway. I saw a machine learning project that used like OpenCV to read American Sign Language, so it can be like basically Google Translate for American Sign Language. If you don't know it, that's really cool. Johnny is trying to set up a IPsec tunnel. Uh-oh. Please speak louder. Robot, the robot vacuum is cleaning. Can bump the volume a touch. Let's see here. We can tweak that one up a little bit. I'll try to speak up as well. Okay, yeah, I want to see what this the sign language one is real quick. Fork awesome. So for now, I'll just replace database. Oh, nice. Okay. That's cool. Okay. I think, yeah, I'll leave it that way on mine. I kind of like that. For the example, I think I'll stick with database, or, you know what? Is there a circuit or electrical circuit or something like that? Maybe that would be cool instead of database. We don't really have SQLite or any other database language or anything. How do we I missed some of the chat. How do we translate Nordic system firmware failure assertion? Firmware failure assertion. I don't know. Sounds like the firmware didn't build, maybe? I'm definitely not the right person to help translate it, though, unfortunately. Looks like Jose gave it a shot, though. Let me check and make sure I didn't miss anything else in the chat. No, okay. All right. So we did this on mine. I think on the one we check in, let's see if there's like a circuit or an electrical board or something. Circuit. No. Electric. No. Microchip. Microchip. That might be a winner. Let's do microchip instead of database. I don't think that should be examples dot. I think PyCharm, I mean, if it was trying to run from the root of the project, then it would want to be that way. On the microcontroller, though, we would end up, I don't know why I put it under that either. We would end up pasting this inside the same, either in the root or the lib, but probably not inside examples, so we don't want to import that way. Microchip. Let me run this also. Hey Keith, how are you? Doing pretty good here. Yeah, I was running a bit late this morning as well. Honestly, I was probably about 10 or 15 late. Validate. Wingdings have some electrical symbols. Yeah, wingdings. That's a good parallel. I should have mentioned that. Wingdings is kind of like the thing most people think of when they think of like iconography fonts or little picture fonts, right? So yeah, Font Awesome, and then by extension Fork Awesome are kind of like modern web style version of wingdings. Did I save this? Okay. Oh yeah, that's awesome right there. I don't have the camera pulled up. Let me do that. Yeah, that's really cool. I like the microchip instead of the database there. That's really cool. Okay. I'm glad I looked through that list a little more. Okay, I updated this one. Yeah, let's run pre-commit. Well, we need a branch, don't we? Yeah, we're on just master. We definitely don't want to push that. So git checkout. You know what? I probably need to fetch. Git fetch Adafruit. Yeah. Git checkout. Name of the branch is adding. Just add. Got the zoomies starting up here for the stripey dude cat. Add fork awesome example from branch Adafruit master, no track, because we want to push to our own repository, not Adafruit's. Okay, nope, checkout -b, so close. Right here. There we go. Switch to new branch. Okay. So we can run pre-commit, run all files. So black probably caught some stuff. No, actually black passed. Reuse failed because fork awesome license. I think I put that. Maybe I spelled it wrong. Fonts. Dash instead of underscore. All of them are dashes, aren't they? Yeah. All right. I typically prefer underscores, truthfully, but I'll go ahead and switch it up to dash because that's what all of them are linked to here. So if a person finds the example and then they find Jeff's blog and they tweak the code up, like, it might trip them up if it's switched from a dash to an underscore. So let's change that, and Shift F6 right there will let you change this. Dash, enter. The other thing is we should actually link to Jeff's blog because it's a really nice write-up and it has a lot of information about what's going on. Let's do it in this file, and let's do it in the example file as well. So we need copyright info. That was the other thing we failed for on pre-commit because, well, one of them was the license on this because of the dash, I think, was the difference, and then one of them is we just have nothing inside this. Also, I have a file called temp, which is probably just nothing important. Or, I don't know, it was important enough to save into a file, but not that important because it's called temp, and I probably just copied it out of there. We need the copyright. We'll set that to Jeff. We'll put that as 2020. That's what the date on the blog said. 2020. I think it's probably safe to assume MIT again. Jeff Epler. Jeff. Let me make sure I spelled that right. I think that's right, though. Does it say on here? I can look on GitHub if not. Yeah. What I'll do is I'll ping him on the PR. We'll make a PR for this, and I'll ping him and ask about the license. I don't know if reuse wants extra space here. I do want to add a comment like this. What is this? This is a helper library for font for fork awesome icon names. Library. It's not really. Is it a library? I don't know. Helper for fork awesome icon names. Helper. Maybe we'll just say helper. Okay. Let's try pre-commit again. Looking better. Not quite there though. Ooh, still no licensing on this file. It says. I mean, it's binary though, right? Yeah, that's not gonna. If it was a BDF file, it's just text. We could throw some. We could just throw the copyright at the top. I thought this is how this was supposed to work, though, truthfully. All the other ones are like that. In fact, Junction, they spelled license. License. Let's one more time. What is this? Interesting. No license information. Oh, did I put anything? That's not. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Here's the problem. This is not what's supposed to be in this file. Well, not all of it. So we already have this. SIL Open Font License version 1.1. We need just a small thing with the identifier. That's what the problem is. SIL Open Font 1.1. What is RFN? Not sure. Open Font License. SIL Open Font License 1.1. Seems to be the same. So we want to do it like that. And we'll fix the copyright name and year. 2018, Fork Awesome. With reserved font name, Fork Awesome. I think we can put this to the same line. And the old one had quotes there. I don't know if we need the quotes or not. Okay, so this, let's just check and make sure this is the same. That says February 26th. Does this have a date? Yeah. Perfect. So this is the same license. Oh, jeez. Okay, got the other cat with zoomies now. Hopefully they're not gonna fight. I might have to go do the old give the cat some water out of the cup. See you, Dexter. Sorry, I missed that a few minutes ago. You might be gone already, but anyway, I hope you have a good day. Yep, PNGs work the same, Jose, for adding licenses. Oh, nice, Johnny. Back up to 100% on Swedish. Good job. Yeah, Hugo's busy this morning or something, looks like. What do we got? Okay, so yeah, we can delete the rest of this stuff. So year is correct, 2018, Fork Awesome people. Yeah, so that should be good now, I think. Let's try pre-commit again. Now we're looking better. The other thing that might trip it is I have this file that's not checked in, so I don't know if there's license in it or whatever. And it passed. Okay. Do we need to do anything else before we push this? Oh, let's link to Jeff's blog. Let's go more info here. Keep clicking the wrong thing there. Okay, here we go. And I'm going to put the same thing in the this example. Put Jeff's name there. My name here because I made this file. No, it's mostly the simple test. Yeah. Let's just make sure both of these still work on the device. I don't think I've changed anything functional, so they certainly should, but just before we commit our PR here, it's good to double check. So overwrite that, and we'll overwrite the code also. All right, still looking good. And no errors or anything. So I think we're good to go here. I ran pre-commit. Well, this is the wrong project. There it is. I ran pre-commit. Yeah, I think we're ready. Let's go ahead and push that. I got my touch deck set up here. So we'll go commit. Adding fork awesome example. Commit and push. And this says origin, because I still haven't changed them all to foamyguy. Yep. Origin, new branch. That's perfect. It has a bunch of stuff that I didn't change just because my repo is out of date. I don't keep my repo up to date. So anytime, if there's been work in the Adafruit master or main branch, then whenever I go and do a PR after that, I end up pushing all that stuff to my repo. So that's why there's a bunch of extra stuff there. But it is fine, so push. And I clicked the wrong browser again. So let's make a PR. For us to use with CircuitPython from the open source project. Font guide. And I do want to ping Jeff and just ask about the license. I think I will make the PR first though, and then comment on that line. That way it has context. So then we can go here then do it like this, right in line. Actually, does Jeff's blog just specify something for the code? Like maybe it says like CC or... No, just website copyright. Okay. Alright, we'll ask him. Okay. We don't really need a review. We just want a single comment that tags Jeff so that he sees, and then Jeff will let me know if it needs to be a different license. Yeah. Okay. And then hopefully that's going to pass actions too. Siren pre-commit local. Okay. I'm going to dive into tiled game stuff. One thing I'll check on though, Jose, since you're here, I know I looked at a couple of PRs before I got in the stream. Is that I want to say I saw inside button. Maybe did you make a new commit? Let's check it out real quick. Display button. Button Adafruit one. Let's see, I don't know. I just posted before. Oh yeah, you got a chance to do it already. Awesome. So let's just... Sweet. Oh, and added mag tag in there as well. Nice. I like it. So this is looking good to me. I did test this already. I don't know if I ever tested this one on the stream or not, but I have tested it. Well, no, I'm thinking of K-matches. This just adds the examples, and it changes the display. I did test this as well. I tested on the same. That's what it was. Is I tested on the same size screen. Maybe I could use the touch deck or something. I don't know. I don't know the easiest way really to test it on a different size screen. Maybe the clue. Well, but it's not a touch screen. Anyway, I ended up testing on the same size, but it does make sense to me. I saw you added the examples as well. Thank you for that. We're probably missing that on a couple libraries, to be honest with you. I didn't really know that this needed to be updated. So like I've definitely made PRs in the past for examples that don't include adding them here. So thank you for going through and adding a bunch of those. I know you've done that in couple of different libraries recently, so I appreciate that. Custom font button. Yeah. Sweet. So we'll merge this as well, and we'll make a release. You guys can see the process for merging and making a release. So looks good to me. Tested successfully. I'll just copy my PyPortal stuff. I think I'm on beta 4 still. Has there been a new beta yet? I don't know. Let's check that. Maybe I should install it if so. I don't think so. Oh, there has been. RC1. 0. Let's install that. And we'll retest this real quick while we're here. Download. I don't want to open it. I want to go to it so I can copy it. Come on. There we go. Open, copy, CircuitPy, except for it's not going to be CircuitPy. It is going to be boot. Or not. Okay. So that's updated now. I'll probably grab the PyGamer once I start on the tile map stuff as well. And let me run it once more on this latest version. What's the easiest way to do that? I got the open button, new window, check out the latest one. Should be the right PR. Yeah. Simple test, and it has dynamic display size, which was the change. So let's grab that and just drop it in CodePy. Make sure that runs. Need to close some tabs after this. Sweet, there we go. Looking good. And this touchscreen size is still working correctly. The button unclicks now whenever you move outside of it. That's another recent change. So yeah, this is looking good to me. Yeah, let me close down some tabs here. Oh, this did fail? What? Docs, probably. It's always the docs what get me. Let me look into that in a minute. Submit. Okay, so we've got an approving review now. So, you know, on the PRs, we wait until we get a one approving review. So we got that. We can merge this. And I think Kmatch looked into this as well. Yeah, Kmatch left a review here as well as a comment, but looked over the code as well. So we'll merge this, and then after we merge, we need to make a release. Otherwise, the bundle won't get updated. So after we merge, we can go back to here, can go make a new release. And usually the easiest way to do it is just to edit the old release so that you can copy paste the this stuff with all the right formatting. Because you can copy it without doing edit, but then it gets wrong. Whoops, it gets wrong formats. Doesn't paste right, so do it that way. We want to go the next version number, semantic versioning. So this is a pretty minor change. I think we'll just bump the minor number there, 155. 5. Example updates. This release uses dynamic screen size. Uses a dynamic screen size instead of hard-coded in the examples. Thank you, Jose, for working on this. Thank you, Jose, for working on this. You. Okay. Release. And that will kick off the actions that build the MPY file and then upload it to the release page here and get it ready for the bundle. So let me close this before I change anything. Definitely don't want to change the old one that we edited to copy. And let's figure out why the actions failed here. Try to fix that before I go on to tile game stuff. Pre-commit. Didn't I run pre-commit? Pylint examples. That's weird. Do we have different versions of Pylint or something? This says Pylint 274. Does anybody know if Pylint updated recently? What do I have? Control-Alt-S, project, interpreter. Pylint 260. Okay. Update. See if that worked. Honestly, sometimes the settings page says that it worked when it didn't. It's a bummer. Let's make sure. Pylint. Yeah, see, this still says 260 right here, and this says successfully installed, but like it didn't. We could even, I'm sure there's a way to import it and check the version. Check version Pylint. Is the update tied to security releases for Python 3.8 and 3.9? I don't know. Yeah, the update to Pylint, I'm not sure. Could very well be. Check the version, type Python. Oh, that's verify Pylint version. Can you just run Pylint dash version, hopefully? Yeah. So this is 260. That did not work. Pip. Pip install upgrade. Wrong import order. Yeah, I noticed the order. I want to try to fix my Pylint though, so I can see the same errors. Thank you though, James, for copying the error into the chat for me. I definitely am going to fix that, but I want to try to get this to be the same. Upgrade. I always forget pip flags. I know there's one you need to use if you want to install something that's already installed. I never remember what it is. Let's see if this works. Yeah, that seems like it worked fine. So yeah, I don't know why. PyCharm, some modules work if you install them that way in settings, some don't though. Okay, that's on 274 now. Let's run pre-commit again. Whoops, and see if those things fail. Hopefully yes, fingers crossed. Because it would not be ideal if it's different still than whatever's going on in GitHub. Still passed. I don't know why that would be passing locally. Pre-commit run all files. Pre-commit. So this says Pylint 271. I think I ended up with 274. Man, I wish that was not different than what I'm getting locally. Like, that kind of breaks the whole point of using pre-commit locally. Well, not the whole point. It's turning black and doing other stuff, I guess, but this one's interesting. I guess maybe you're supposed to use a variable called copyright, or there is a built-in variable called copyright that holds your copyright information. But I'm guessing there's also a copyright in that big list of icons. So that we'll probably just have to ignore. I mean, I guess it might be best to call this copyright icon to not break whatever the copyright variable does. But then this would be the only one that has a different name like that. I don't know what the built-in copyright variable does. I don't know if we're actually breaking anything or not. Pylon's complaining, I guess, though, so you would think. Whoa. Dang, I really wish I understood why these were different. Is it because I'm in the wrong directory? Does pre-commit look at the directory you're inside of? Or Pylon? I mean, this is specifying a bunch of directory stuff, though. No, that's the same thing. Third-party import should be placed before. Bitmap, font, label, fork awesome. Fork awesome. Pylon RC. Maybe it just does that by default, I don't know. No. Because we got... Well, but... Yeah, those aren't in the Pylon RC, though. Those are just extra flags. Okay, so running it directly does show me the errors. And invalid name gets ignored because of this. So if we run it that way, then we won't see the invalid name ones. Then we will see it being basically the same as what GitHub says now. So that's good. But why not pre-commit? I wonder if there's something broken about the pre-commit. Doesn't that mean it's not running on the examples correctly? Cause like, well, but it's doing. Maybe it's using a different Pylon RC file in the directories. think we only have one. Pylint RC here. And examples does not have another one. I don't know if there's like a system-wide one or something. This is weird though. I mean, I used to see... I feel like I used to see Pylint errors when I ran pre-commit. And I don't understand how build CI on pull request runs test. I don't see how it's different on GitHub versus local build. I am just gonna fix this and then move on. Sorry to spend this much time on it though. This makes me worry though that the pre-commit is not, that something inside this file might need to change. But if something inside this file needed to change, then GitHub should return. Should show the same thing as what I have though, so can't really be that. It's got to be something inside my environment. My pre-commit or my Pylint somehow don't work right, which is a bummer. Let's just fix the error though. It says import order is wrong. Icons should go before bitmap font. Pylint 274 fixes disabled warning not ignored. Maybe I'm seeing the outcome of a bug they just patched. Disabled warning not ignored. The ones that are, well, the ones that are disabled, yeah, that could be. If there's a bug that, and we saw here it said 271. Let me try 271. Didn't we see 271 somewhere in here? Install. Well, this says 274 here though. Pylint successfully installed 274, but it says inside this file rev right here, it says rev Pylint 271. I don't know. I don't really know how to use pre-commit, truth be told. I don't know though if this is telling it to use version 271, or if this is using 274, which is what it looks like it installed up in this step here. Let's try 271 though and just see if that makes any difference. Maybe whatever this bug that they just recently patched or tried to patch, I guess, maybe that's not working for us. Pylint equals 2.7.1. I think I need downgrade maybe or something. No? Okay. Pylint version 271. But of course I changed the file now too. Although it's not saved. I have the autosave thing going on. I don't know if, I mean, it should save, it should run on the one that's on the disk, right? Let's just, let's switch it back to make sure. Same thing. And if I run it this way, is it still... Yeah. Don't know what to do about that, but let's go ahead and fix it. I mean, I guess for now we just run Pylint. Just run Pylint separately. That's a bummer though, because like we went through all the libraries to move Pylint into pre-commit to make it one command. That was a fairly sizable amount of work to do that. Be a bummer if it just doesn't work anymore. Hopefully there's something about my environment though. Hopefully this is not a problem for other people. Maybe I'll uninstall pre-commit and reinstall it. Maybe I got the wrong version there, or who knows. I don't know. Hopefully this is not a widespread issue though. That should be passing now. We can commit. Fix, import, order, push. Browser's killing me. There we go. Okay, hopefully that will pass actions this time. Let's keep this up and keep an eye on it. I'll come back and fix it again if not. We made our release. Let's we can come back here. If we refresh, we see the actions have finished on making this release, so it compiled all those MPY files and attached them to the release here for us. So that's cool. I'm gonna get PyGamer. Whoops, I don't want 610 though, I want the new RC. Okay, PyGamer. So while we're waiting on actions there, let's go ahead and switch over to the PyGamer. Has a power switch, which tricks me most of the time. Okay, so if you caught the last stream at the tail end of it, this was the stuff I was working on was movement, although it looks like, yeah, it's still there. The right movement seems broken though, actually. That's weird. We'll need to look into that. That was the last thing I think I worked on the stream. One thing you'll notice though is if you did watch that, it's looking a little different. I have all this stuff going on the outside now. So something I did after the last stream was I started work on the what's called like a camera, so being able to show only a certain part of the map. Actually, this diagram, there's an explanation of this in the old tile map game learn guide. This one, map camera. So this is the concept right here. Like if we want to have a map that's bigger than the 8x10 size of the screen, or even smaller. Like if we want the map to indent into the size of that 8x10 screen, then we need to have some way to only show part of the screen at once. So let's pull up the code that I ended up using for this. I rewrote it. So inside of this old Learn Guide, there is a concept of a camera view. It's basically a dictionary which has XY tuples as the keys, and then I think it's index values or maybe strings even. Like the strings that say the tile type there, because these used strings instead of indexes. So it was a dictionary with tuple XY coordinate keys, and then the strings, I think, for the values. And you would call like set camera view, you would give it the starting location, so like XY coordinate of where you want the top left of the camera to be, and then a width and a height, and then it would generate that dictionary for you, pulling out that one section of the map. And then you could call the draw camera here, and that would render that one, that section of the camera onto the screen for you. In the new code, I've done it a little bit differently. I wanted to get away from the dictionaries of tuple key things. This is that PR, and the actions did pass here, so that's good. I can close that. Let me close a few more things as well. All this font stuff we don't need. There we go. Okay. So instead of having those dictionaries with those XY tuple keys, I wanted to not have those. And so the way that I ended up doing it was it's inside tile game map, and let's look. So we got our tile grids, one tile grid for each layer. We're going to be playing with possibly adding another tile grid for a fourth layer today. Load tile grids. So yeah, here's what I did. I refactored this a little bit. I made this function called load tile grids. I don't remember for sure if that was in the code the last time I was on the stream or if I added it afterwards, but either way, now there's this function load tile grids. It definitely one thing, even if the function did exist, these parameters didn't. So this would be the part that I added for the camera controls. Essentially, we have the same four parameters that are from this set camera view right here: start X, start Y, width, and height. So the location, again, the top left corner of where the camera will go, and then the width and height, and that's in tiles. So how many tiles you want to show. So right now I've just hard-coded it for testing. It's hard-coded at the location of X1, Y2, and then it's hard-coded to the width and the height of 10 and 8, which happen to match the PyGamer screen size. So I added those parameters, and then the logic is inside of here. I ended up having to calculate a extra offset, and then adding that extra offset and taking into account the start index and all kinds of stuff to get that working right. But once I did all of that stuff, added the extra offset calculation and all that stuff, it made it to where when we call it with these parameters like this, we are essentially specifying, that rectangle camera that we want to use as part of the full map. So if I load up tiled, I can show you the current map here. One thing is I also started working on some other stuff. I'm working on a JavaScript phaser game engine. I think I might try to make some tile map games with that as well, that will be playable in the browser instead of CircuitPython. So I don't know, maybe I'll stream some JavaScript stuff one of these days. This though was that JavaScript stuff I was working on, which is not really what we need. We want to open We can open. Where did I have that stuff? I think it's in Dropbox. Yeah. And I think the most recent one I'm working on was GoodMap 2. Yeah. Which is what was loaded, but that was a different GoodMap 2. Unfortunately, I saved it under the same name again. Let's load that though. So yeah, you can see here I added basically just 2 extra rows and columns. So 2 extra columns out here to the right and 2 extra rows down here on the bottom. And then one thing I did do is I loaded up the entities layer with a bunch of stuff on those 2 rows just for fun to try drawing a bunch of stuff on it. So in the background layer, let's hide entities. In the background layer, you can see I have empty tiles all out here. In the entity layer, you can see I have stuff on a bunch of these. And when we work our way back to the camera here, whoops, you can see most of that stuff is working correctly. The movement seems messed up. I can't move to the right for some reason, so we'll need to look into that. Well, I can move to the right, but only if I go to the left first. So it's almost like I can't move to the left any farther than that either. It's almost like I only have 2 columns of available moving, but I have the whole row, or all the rows, I mean. Yeah, something's definitely messed up. You know what it is probably is the yeah, I'm running into the robot. You know what it is the can walk logic, which is the logic that determines whether or not I'm allowed to move on a certain tile or not, is not accounting. It's probably not accounting for the camera, so it's probably taking the real map location, checking to see if I can walk there, and it's getting false because the AdaBot is there, because it didn't get shifted for the camera. So we'll need to fix that. I think that's probably what the issue is. But you can see the way that all the stuff is rendering out here. So these 2 layers down here rendered all that stuff fine. These Sparkies over here rendered that stuff fine. And if I change this up, let's go this way. If I change this up, I can say, you know, again, I'm just hard coding these values here. Eventually, though, we'll have the game fill these values in. But like, for instance, if I want to be able to see that last column over there, we can scroll over 1 more by setting the X up by 1 and save that again. While that reloads, I'm going to run and grab my, my hoodie real quick. I'll be right back. Okay, arms are getting a little chilly. So that loaded up there. You can see all those Minervas on the far right column. So that is, at least it seems to be working properly as far as I can tell. It's not thoroughly tested. You know, obviously the movement is messed up, so we know there's a problem there. But the rendering seems to be working based on hard coding these values here of between 0 and 2. Like if I switch it back to zeros, then we'll get the same view that we started with, which is just the room with those things inside of it. My guess is if we go here, then the movement's probably going to work fine as well. Yeah. So one thing you'll notice is the camera currently doesn't follow the player, which we'll want to make some logic that does that. But that does fix the movement. So maybe I'll start by trying to resolve that problem. But again, you know, we could go like 2, 0. That would show us those 2 right columns here, but not the bottom ones. So yeah, we got our camera cutout section. I wanted to work on a cursor. I wanted to work on adding another layer and having a cursor, so the user could like move a cursor around the screen and then select a tile and maybe show some information about the tile. Let's fix the movement first, though. I think that's probably more important. So let's see what's going wrong here. So this is the logic that checks whether we're allowed to move, and it's inside of is tile movable, new lock. So let's just take a look at what's getting printed with some of this stuff a little bit closer. Yeah, so let me go back to 0, 0. Let's see what this prints, and then see if it prints different for 1, 1 or 2, 0 or something like that. So let's move once to the right. So this is new lock, which we printed right here. 5, 4, this is player lock. Whoops. 45, next line down right there. So that makes sense. User is moving 1 tile to the right, so X goes up by 1. That looks fine. So then if this is, let's say 1, no, let's say 2, 2, then the robot should be in the way. 2, 2. So that now we see those extra columns and rows. Yeah, and I can't go to the right there. So I did spam the thing a couple of times, unfortunately. So one thing is we do want to go back to 0, 0, and I want to try hitting the arrow twice, because it turns out I have to push move twice to get to where we want. But once we get stuck, these are the values it prints over and over, which is new lock 3, 3, player lock 3, 2, which I do think is wrong. It's just not accounting for the camera. Let's go over by 2 here. Yeah. New lock was 5, 4, player lock was 5, 3, and then the second time new lock was 5, 5, player lock was 5, 4. Those should be the same when this is on 2, 2. Those should not be different, because those should be like world coordinates, not screen coordinates. Basically, they shouldn't care where the camera's at. They should behave as though they're world coordinates. But they're not. They're ending up different. So let's figure out why. New lock. New lock gets updated here. It starts as player lock. mygame.playerlock.x, mygame_playerlock_y. If one of the buttons was pressed, up, down, left, or right, or in the case of the Pygamer, the joystick was moved, then we are changing the appropriate new lock, and we're setting moved to true. If moved was true, reset it back to false, print these things, check if the tile is movable or not, store that in a Boolean, print it. If it was movable, then set the player lock equal to the new lock, call update player location, and that's it. So our problem is not inside CodePy, it must be inside of our game helper object, I think, because player lock is ending up wrong. We're printing player lock here. When we print it, we get 3s instead of 5s for the Y column. And the X, so basically both both x and y are too small. We should get 5, 5, and 5. No, we should get 5. Well, on the second move, we should get 5, 5, and 5, 4. But on the second move, we're actually getting 3, 3, and 3, 2. So if we added 2 to both of those, we'd have 5, 5, and 5, 4. So player lock needs to what sets the player lock? And where's the player lock if we just print it at the beginning? Print initial player lock format mygame.playerlock. So initial player lock is 3, 1 right now. Well, 1, 3. Usually traditionally X would come first. So 1, 3. So 0, X, 1, X is the second column. 0, 1, 2, 3. So that is giving us screen coordinates. So we need to probably just save. Well, and let's double check though. If we put this back, then it's going to give us 5, 5, 4 again, or well, 5, 3 it would be to start with. So that's back to normal. Yep, that goes back to 5, 3. So where does player lock get set? Player lock starts as 1, 1. I think it's inside load tile grids. I think it looks for the tile that is marked with player true, this Boolean extra property here. And then that's where it puts the player lock. Okay, so this is building the backgrounds layer, this is building the entities layer. Yeah, if the get tile property, if player is true, then place the player lock here. Do we just add the offset? I think that's going to break something else. Player lock. Plus X. It's interesting that Blinka spawns. Does Blinka spawn in the right spot as it relates to Adabot? Does Blinka spawn 2 squares below Adabot? Hey Hugo, good morning. How are you doing? X and Y. Okay, and now 2, 2. Is Blinka still two tiles below? It's interesting. It's interesting that the player lock is different, but the place in relation to the other entities is correct. Kind of surprised that Blinka is not put at the wrong spot also. Nice. Thank you, Hugo. Hugo's talking about the vertical progress bar. I showed that for just a second, the example. That vertical progress bar. That's what I did before I got on the stream here, so that's what my PyPortal had loaded up. Weblight gang is all here. Nice. Hugo's working on French. I saw Johnny said earlier, I think Swedish is back up to 100%. Never-ending battle. It's a never-ending battle. Okay. So where were we at here? We could try just adding X and Y. That would make the numbers correct, but that's gonna... I mean, that is gonna make Blinka show up in the wrong spot, isn't it? Yeah. Interesting. Player lock. Well, so yeah, the problem is that the player tile, the Blinka tile that is in the map, that's in this tiled JSON map file right here, really just indicates where the player object is gonna go. But then when we actually add that player object, it's in its own tile grid. It's not in the backgrounds tile grid. I don't think it's in the entities tile grid, which is the only other one we're loading here. We have a sprite tile grid, and the player is in the sprite tile grid, and currently there is nothing accounting for the camera logic for the sprite tile grid. Place the player. So where does the player get drawn from? The player location. What's inside of there? Yes, this is what we want. This needs the camera offset. Does it? Yeah. So, did I make a property for that? If not, we definitely want one, so we might as well make it now. If not, let's, doesn't look like it. Let's call this, self.camera lock. It's going to be XY also, and it's just going to default to 0, 0. And then when you call load tile grids, it's going to get set to these XYs. Is that what we want to do? Yeah, I think that should be alright. Camera lock is X, camera lock Y. It's Y. French was at 100% before Swedish. Oh, uh-oh. Yeah, it's working good. The progress bar, in testing, I didn't run across any issues. Spanish is at 99%, close to knocking out Spanish as well, huh? All right. So we got the camera lock. We're updating it when we call load tile grids. So then when we call update player location, we want to also take into account the camera lock. So we'll say player lock X minus? I think minus camera lock X. Camera lock X. Camera lock Y. And we do still, yeah, I got these here still, because we want the player lock to be 5-3. We want it to start on 5-3, because that's where it's at. 0, 1, 2, 3. I keep saying 5-3. I need to switch my printouts to go the other way, I guess, but 3, 5 to X coordinate 3, Y coordinate 5. So 0, 1, 2, 3 for the X, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the Y. 3 for the X, 5 for the Y. That's where the player icon should be. That's what the player lock dictionary value should be. So by adding X and Y here, we make it work correctly. By subtracting X and Y camera lock here, we shift the player back to the right spot. Okay, I think that should be working. Oh, nice. Got the Hackaday Jolly Rancher going here. Got a PR that changed something after it got done. This still did not work though. Did this refresh? I wasn't watching. Interesting. So nothing called update player location yet. Because the only place where that's used is right here. If there was more places that this got used, then my control click would show me where they were at. So the only time update player location gets called is if moved was true. So I guess I could move once and then the player would be in the right spot and the collision would work correctly. But that's not what we want. We just need to call, honestly, we just need to call update player lock inside of a init after load tiles, tile grids, or should we call it from load tile grids? Maybe we should call it from load tile grids. It's too much stuff inside load tile grids. It's not part of the name. It's more confusing that way. Update player location. Set the initial player location. Oh, we need to do it. Oh, yeah. We need to do it after this, though. Well, we need to do it instead of this. Yeah. There we go. Now we're looking good. Won't let me walk into ohm. Won't let me walk into Adabot. Won't let me walk into the wall. Won't let me walk into the other wall. It will let me go 2 tiles up here. Theoretically, it won't let me walk into the top wall anymore. So I should be back on the screen if I go down 1, 2. was thinking 2, but I came back at 1. Why 1? Are we missing a row up there? Or am I just... Maybe I'm just wrong. Yeah, the wall is 1 more above me now, so I can't go up 1. Okay, so that was correct. Yeah, this looks like everything is back to working good now. Okay. One thing is, one of the weird things about working with PyCharm on your device, there's less delineation between the repo project and the CircuitPy drive. I find myself like copy pasting back and forth and pushing so that I get the new stuff in the repo, which is not the best workflow, but it's not the worst workflow either. Well, what did I change? Why is this changed? Oh, I changed it to 1. Added a new line. We don't really need that new line. Okay. We're gonna put that there. That way we can check it into the repo. All right. The other thing, now that the movement is working fine, I want to make a cursor. Ooh, Keith is going to make some bread. That's awesome. Yeah. Okay. Yum. I want some homemade bread. That sounds good. Yeah, let's work on the cursor. So I actually already have the artwork. That's another one of the things I did off of the stream. I try not to do a ton of work here because I don't want stuff to be totally different if anybody is actually trying to follow the progress of this. I kind of want to try to show it all on the videos if I can, at least you know, the major steps, just because, well, for one thing, I can watch it back myself when I forget how most of this stuff works, but you know, it's also just a good like look at how every one of these different pieces is going to work together, because I'm kind of building it all one at a time here. So one of the things I did though was I added a cursor into the tile set. So if I go, what is it, edit tile sets, I can see how you do that. Edit tile set, could zoom in maybe, there we go. I got this cursor down here. I got it out of a where did I get it? I think I got it out of one of these Kenny game assets. I don't know if I've ever talked about those on the stream before. It's really cool though, so let me take just a second and show you what those are all about. This is going to be unedited icons. Keep a copy of them here that I don't change. So there's a couple of different versions. I've actually bought a couple of them. I'll pull up the site as well while we're looking at this. Kenny game assets, or Kenny's, I don't know if it's got the S or not. Kenny's game assets. Yeah, Kenny. EY, K-E-N and E-Y, and there is no S, just Kenny game assets. So I did search it wrong. There's tons and tons of sprite sheets, right? And we can use sprite sheets, right? Display.io and tile grids are designed to work with sprite sheets. So a ton of the stuff that's in these different art packs we can use. So they're like 10 or 15 bucks a piece. You can see the prices. They've got 3 different ones now, and you know, I've bought all 3 of them for 30 bucks. It's like so many game icons. I'll probably never ever use all of them, but like when I do use the ones I use, they're really nice. They come as vectors usually, so you can scale it up or down if you need to. I want to say that I took that, well, I definitely did take that cursor out of one of them, but let's see if we can find it real quick. I won't spend too long looking for it, but this will also give you a chance to see what some of these look like. So this one's kind of cool, roguelike. It's got a bunch of different styles of like worlds, so grass and dirt and stone and sand, and you can make buildings and stuff. They also usually show previews or samples, I guess, so it shows you the kind of map you can make with these. So, you know, eventually I might make a CircuitPython game with these assets. This is not where the cursor came from, though. Let's keep looking. Tiles. No. Is it dungeon or interior? No, this is the same kind of art as that one we just looked at, but it's like dungeons and caves and stuff. I have an idea I've been kicking around in the back of my head for a while that's like a jewelry crafting game. Might reuse these ores eventually for that, but that's not what we're looking at today. Some more indoor stuff. Let me take a couple more guesses here, but then I'll just move on if I don't find them. Game icons? No. Anyway, you can see there's tons and tons of these tiles, so I basically took that cursor out of one of them. It was gray, I want to say. It was not the color I made it. Maybe UI? Base pack or adventure pack? Base pack, that looks like... these might be helpful in making display IO widgets. That's not what we want now, though. No. Here's there are some cursors in this. There's like these boxes here. There's also these triangle cursors, but these are not the ones I used either. Maybe it came from a different number one. It's very possible. I don't know. I don't want to spend too much time just poking around. Interface. This might be it. Yeah, these might be it. I think I grabbed one of these, possibly. Or this one, what's one more down, interface pixel? Yeah. If this wasn't it, it's pretty darn close, and it might as well have been it, even if it wasn't. So there's lots of cursors here. You can see there's tons of different styles. If you want hexagons or circles or squares or whatever. I ended up just taking pretty much one of those. Yeah, I guess it is still a little bit different. It's not one of those. It's similar to these four corner ones, but it's not the exact same. So I don't know. It came out of one of those things. It was gray originally, and I just changed it up to be the Adabot colors here. So I want to make a way so that the user can move the cursor around the screen. The cursor does not care about collisions, right? Because the cursor can move anywhere, so it won't have any collision logic. And then I want to make it so that when you press like the A button, for instance, it can show you information about the tile that you're on. So that's what I'll work on. Keeping an eye on the Humble Bundle. Oh yeah, Humble Bundle is always good stuff. I think Kenny even maybe has been, like, you could get these assets in the Humble Bundle one of the times when they did that. But yeah, Humble Bundle, that's really, they got, usually they package a bunch of games and different stuff together, and then it's really cheap, like $20 or something to get all of them together at once. Okay. So we're gonna need a new layer, because we can't use the entity layer, because if we did use the entity layer, then when the crosshair was on a thing, it would overtake the entity that was there. So like we had Adabot there, but now Adabot's gone because I put the cursor there. What we want is Adabot to be able to be there, and one more layer, cursor. And on this layer is where we want the cursor, and we want it above the entity layer. That way it can be on top of those entities. So like if we erase it from there, we could put it maybe on Ohm, or we could put it on Blinka, or we could put it on a wall. Within the game, we'll only have one cursor I just drew a bunch of them here to show you that we could. Within the game, though, we'll have one. We want it to essentially be pretty much exactly like this. It's going to go in a new layer above the entities, and then that will be what we move around with the D-pad. So let's do that. Let's go... I'm going to work on it inside my tile map game. I think some games would want to use a cursor, some games might not. Like if it's more like the thing we have now where you move the character with the D-pad, then you might not want a cursor, or maybe you would like press another button, like press B or press select or start or something, and then you would get the cursor. Not every game will need the cursor, but I kind of want to make this module have enough, tools and batteries built in. They call that like batteries included in a library sometimes. Like I want it to have enough functionality that you can make a couple of different types of games without having to go dig into the module that much. So I don't want to fall into the trap of making a gigantic engine that can do everything, but I do want it to do a few things, and I think that cursor layer is worthwhile. Even if certain games end up not using it, the other ones can, and I think it's a relatively common UI thing. So this will be cursor tile grid, cursor, it'll be a new tile grid, it'll be pretty much the same as the entity tile grid. The default tile will be different though. I don't need to paste all of that. Default tile is blank. It's probably the same. $15 I think is down here. What you don't want to do is build this up so it can run. Yeah, no, not necessarily. We need once we get the next few generations of microcontrollers though, and we can start having like gigahertz processor on a microcontroller, then maybe we could have some nice physics simulations and stuff going on inside there. So I think we can put this to 15. I'm not sure why. Honestly, this should probably be 15 as well. I think maybe I did 17 before I added the cursor, and the cursor is actually 17. So I don't think that's what we would want. I think we want blank. Doesn't matter because we're setting all the tiles to something else anyway, I guess, so it's not getting used maybe? No. That's not true. It would be getting used because we're only setting the tiles that have entities. Maybe the thing is the one that's on the device... Yeah, the one that's on the device doesn't have the cursor yet. Let me copy that over. I think this is going to draw cursors everywhere though, which is why I think we want that default to be 15 or 16, one of the two blanks. Honestly, our blanks should probably be at the end. Okay. Didn't do what I thought. It has a cursor underneath Blinka. Did I put that on the sprite tile grid and not the... No, that's the entity tile grid. Sprite tile grid is default 0. I don't know why there's not more cursors. I would have thought there would have been a cursor on every tile that didn't have an entity. Anyway, 15 I think is what we want though, because that's one of the blanks. Cursor we want the same. Width and height, everything else is all the same. Add it, we want to add it last because we want it to be on top. When we load tile grids, we want background. So this one will be layer 2. Honestly, do we need this inside load tile grids? I mean, load tile grids only gets called at the beginning. That's like when we are loading the map, and we don't want the cursor. I know I'm drawing the cursor in the map right here just to show what it looks like, but the truth is we're not going to include the cursor in the map. The cursor is always going to be, it's always going to be set from the game logic, not the map. Like, it will spawn in the default place, and then the player will move it with the arrow keys. But the default place doesn't need to be included in the map. So let's get rid of this layer actually in here. It's nice for showing how we want to layer it on top, but we don't actually need it in our map file. Is this delete? Move layer, yeah. So we do want a tile grid. We don't really need to do anything inside load tile grids. We already added it here. Maybe we'll just put it at the same place as the player. I think we should have a similar concept as player lock. Cursor lock. And we'll start it on 1-1. Eventually, I think it'll be good to move that to wherever the player's at. So I guess we do want to we're going to do this basically the same. Update. Yeah. I think we're going to have another one of these for the cursor. This should not, I don't know, maybe update is not the right word for this. It should be like render. But it's not really rendering it, I guess. It is moving it to the right location. I don't know, maybe update is correct. Maybe center the cursor at the start of the game. Yeah, we could do that instead of 1-1. I think on the player is going to be good. I think that's what I'm going to aim for eventually. How's it going though, David? Good morning. Thanks for tuning in. Update. So this will be cursor. This will be cursor. This will be cursor lock. We do still want the camera offset, so we're going to keep that. And we can go ahead and call this from init so that it will draw. So does that draw it at 1-1? Except for we're scrolled off it now. Oh, and we can't scroll back. Let me go 0-0. That's the other thing we need to hook up is make the camera follow the player. Home vacation, nice. Cursor, tile grid, I guess nothing. Nothing actually sets the cursor in the cursor tile grid. In the sprite tile grid, well, in the sprite tile grid, it's only 1 by 1. Maybe that's probably what we should be, actually. And then when we're 1 by 1, we can use the default tile of 17, which is the cursor. So now it will show. Maybe. Yes. Okay. So let's do, instead of the D-pad moving the player, let's have the D-pad move the cursor. So we want to start on the cursor lock. We want to subtract or add the same. We could start getting rid of these prints. Set move back to false. We don't care about tile is movable because the cursor is allowed to move anywhere. One thing is we'll need it to eventually allow the player to move, but also allow the cursor to move. Some games, they have a system where you have the cursor, you move the cursor around, and then you click on the tile where you want the player to move to. That way you can click multiple tiles away, and the player will kind of like move along the path to get there. Yeah, agreed. The camera should center on the player, but also clamp to the edges. So if the player moves to the corner, then we don't keep moving the camera further. We just show the edge of the map. That's what we need to do. That logic's not written yet. It is in the original tile map game, but not in this new one. We don't want that stuff anymore. We don't care about is tile movable. We just want to change the cursor lock. Cursor lock. Y and X. X. New lock. Whoops. X. Y. And then update the cursor. This one should have been inside the if statement, I think. There's no need to call update player location if the tile was not movable and therefore the player did not move. With the cursor, we don't care about that stuff, so we'll do it no matter what here, but cursor. Nice. There we go. It's on top of Betabot there. It's on top of Blinka. And okay. Now we want it so that when we press another button, it knows which. It can tell us about the tile that we pressed on. So it needs to know which tile we pressed on. So we also need to listen for another button. Let's separate it. Let's do it below all the move logic. I don't know the name. It's like X and O and V or Z. I think O is A. I think it's like X is supposed to be back or cancel, which is more like B. O is supposed to be like yes or okay, which is more like A. So I think that's how it works. In the Pew M4, it also has a third one. The PyGamer doesn't. Let's just go print the cursor lock. Cursor is 3-3, 4-3, 5-3. So let's make sure that if we move the camera, the cursor location is still correct. So AdaBot should stay on 3-3. Let's make sure it does. Yeah. Okay, so we are accounting for the camera correctly there. Yeah. PlayStation has X and O and square and triangle, I think. I'm not sure if the X and O designate the same, like X for back and O for forwards concept. I know that was... I'm pretty sure that's how it works in the Pew M4, which is where what Ugame, or maybe it's supposed to be Microgame, I'm not sure. That's what we're using here is from the Shippu, the same person that made that Pew M4. I don't know if the inspiration was the same as in PlayStation, or if PlayStation did it differently with those. That's working. So I think it'd be cool if we could print out, instead of the location, let's print out what entities and what tile are at that location. So I think it'd be nice if we provided a function that would just like return whatever is at a location to us. What do we want it to return though? Because there can be two layers. The entity layer, I guess what we could do is if there's something in the entity layer, then return that, and if not, then return whatever's in the background layer. If we wanted to, we could return a list and return both, but Keith says when it returns the entities, should it also return them in the drawn order? The entities would be in... I don't know what order they would be in. I guess they're in the order. They're in the order that they loop, which is top left down. Like they're represented as a single. They're represented as a single dimensional array, a one-dimensional array, a list. So even though it's 2 by 2, it goes like all the first row first and then jump back down to the next row. But the cursor is above, so I don't believe there will be any issues with like an entity getting rendered above the cursor because of the way, whoops, right in here, gosh darn it, the way we put this cursor tile grid, and then when we append it to the group, it gets appended after entity and sprite. So whichever one is appended later gets drawn further above. So let's do like a get tile, get self, no, what is it, def get tile, location, so let's just do a tiny bit of validation, x or, no, and, no, or, valid location. Okay, so if we get past that, we kind of want most of the same logic. Honestly, we could refactor this is tile movable to use this get tile, because most of this logic is exactly what we want. Do we need to loop over all the layers? Honestly, this probably shouldn't loop over the layers anyway. It should just hard code the entity layer and the background layer. We should be consistent about the parameter name. So that's going to get the index. I'm going to turn off the print. We'll see if it works correctly. If it's not, then we can turn the print back on for debugging. We got the index. Let's, what did we say? Look in the entities. If there is something there, then return it. So basically check the index, and if it's not 0, then that's what we return. So we can get that from layer, no, map object layers, entity is layer 1. Map object layers, index 1, index, entity tile, if entity tile. I think that will return false if it's 0. So I think we can just have if entity tile return entity tile. I'll change it to look up the tile name in a second. If not entity tile, if that was 0, this should return false, which means we won't return this. And in that case, we want to go floor, well, background tile. This one would be 0. Whoops. Then that one we just return no matter what. So let's save that, and then let's say whenever we press this button, instead of doing the cursor lock, let's do mygame.get tile. So one thing is, I scrolled off to the side now. Really need to work on the camera following. There's load tile grids. Okay. So if we just do it here, we should get floor, which is, I don't know, the ID 13 maybe, or 12. What does this say? Key error 13. Oh, data. I think I forgot data. Yeah. Data. And put that one here. So if we just do A, we get 11, which is correct. This is ID 10, but the IDs are 0 based, but the numbers that are used in the map are 1 based because 0 indicates empty. So 11 is correct for the floor tile. So that's correct. Let's move it to Adabot. And we got a 2, which is also correct. So that's good. Let's have it look up the actual more stuff like doesn't have I don't have like a get tile name from index function yet. That's what I want though. Tile ID property name. What are the keys of tile properties? Are those indexes or are those strings? Let's just print that out. Whoops. Tile properties. Indexes. Well, IDs. 0 is Blanca. So let's go. Whenever we make the properties, can we just add names? Don't we have? Do we have? We don't have names. Names. Let's add name properties onto all of these. Name string. And this tile is floor. All of these tiles are wall. And then we'll do it on each of these. So name. I wish it would just prompt me to use the same one. Adabot, ohm, name, ohm. No, it's I think it's mo. Mo. I think it's like that. Minerva. Sparky. Heart. I don't know if the heart has a name. Okay. Let's export that. Or I guess save. Save the spreadsheet. Why does that have an E in it? Why does my Control Z not work? Why can I not erase that E? Uh-oh. Things are spiraling out of control quickly. This file is messed up now. I think save is not what I wanted to do. Control Shift E, that's not working. Control Shift E, yeah, that's not doing anything. We want the file system. Why? No, why? No. Why? What? Why? And I can't get back. What? can't save either. Should not have done that. So I don't know why Control-Shift-E is not working. Gonna make it 3 so that if this is wrecked, I at least could hopefully maybe go back to 2. CircuitPython, tiled map game, good map 3. Okay. Okay, we got names. That's good. Tile map game test, good map 3. Let's add it. Let's add it. We have ease here. In there. And they're the same kind of magical E that can't be erased, so that's fun. Yeah. I think PyCharm is broken or something. Oh, this is wrecking all of these files. This is awful. Oh, okay. Well, this is broken farther than PyCharm. This is broken on my whole computer. Okay. Well, we might be calling it quits here because I can't really keep working if I can't edit code files. And does not seem very likely that just relaunching PyCharm is going to work. Alt-GR? What is GR? Oh, it is so hard not to be able to type anything. Alt. To the right of space. Well, I don't have to the right of space though, because I have a keyboard with a really weird layout. I don't know what goes to the right of space. Windows key or keyboard. Is that the like that extra little square thing? That thing to the left, like between Control and Windows key, that thing? I don't have one of those. Meta. Do you know if it's this thing? If it's this icon with the one that's between Windows and Control here? The little box with 3 lines in it? That's so weird. It's not... It doesn't do it in here. But it does it in here and it does it in PyCharm. And you can't erase it. Oh, nice. Yeah, I got the Johnny. You might have joined after I said it, but I got another cloth in here that's under the microphone. God, this is terrible. Oh, I don't even. Is this a Linux problem? Is this? I don't even know where to begin. But typing E, but it's not. But it's not doing it everywhere. It's not doing it in the browser. Alt Enter. Alt GR or Meta. But I don't know how I don't know how to do that on my keyboard though, because I don't have that. Well, I still don't know what key is GR or Meta. I don't know what that key looks like. And I don't, my keyboard doesn't have like most of the keys. Well, that's not true. It has most of the keys, but it is missing a fair number of keys also, and I have no idea. Yeah. Well, no, this is an advantage too. This is basically the same though. Is Meta or GR, is that on here anywhere? Does anybody see? Does anybody know what that key looks like? Meta key is not found on modern keyboards. Sometimes emulated with Alt GR. What is GR though? What does that even mean? GR key. Graph. Okay. So it's on the Alt key sometimes. Nice. Green instead of graph. That's pretty funny. I mean, sometimes Alt gets stuck. I don't understand though how it's choosing which things get the invincible E and which things don't. I don't want to just flounder, and I suspect rebooting my computer will fix it. Boy, I hope rebooting my computer will fix it. And I can't really just keep working Kinesis. At least I can type in the browser. Man, this would be infuriating if it also messed up the browser. Gosh, why Stack Overflow has got this giant thing? Alt key above home, which is where my alt key is. To use it easily, remap it. What does it do? Is there ever a reason anybody would want this turned on? It helps you type other characters, I guess. What a screeching halt. Sorry to drive us off a cliff here, folks. So one thing I do know is that I think I'm in Mac mode, actually. Pretty sure I'm not in Windows mode. Okay. It's for characters that are not available with Shift. Does it type E's? Have you ever seen this behavior? Like, when I start typing, it just puts an E there? If I do a number? When I press enter, it goes away. Oh my gosh. Do I really fix that by just pressing enter? Cannot undo this, so that's a bummer. Got version control. To the rescue. Okay. One more. Nope. There. Okay. Enter. Apparently you just need to press enter once. Don't panic and press enter. I will try to remember that for next time. I have no idea. I don't even know what I was doing. Oh, also my E's are a bunch of stuff got overwritten with E's. Oh man, that was not fun. Okay. And I can save, so that's good. Okay. Name. These do have names now. Hot name. Okay. Everything has names. I made a good map 3, but I don't think I need it. I don't think I want to load this from the drive, though. These have names. Okay. So yeah, we're in here. We're saying properties. So now properties should include a name. Ooh, I wonder if my TO is stuck open. That would be another unfortunate thing. No. You know one thing I don't like about TO? It doesn't tell you if the thing you put in here is bogus. Like, I mistyped this. It's supposed to be /dev or whatever, but it's just like, there you go. No problem, we're waiting. I guess that's to do with the way that it waits for things to come back, but I struggled the other day because I typed this wrong and then spent like way too much time trying to figure out why I wasn't getting any serial. Anyway, that's my problem, I guess. Let's grab this. Okay, it did connect. Oh, the sprite sheet file is wrong. I think I fixed that before. Honestly, I think I just cheated by doing that. Okay, keys are indexes, and now we have a name property. So let's print the name property instead of the index. Once that's working, I think I'll call it good for today at least. Yes, that was very confusing. 5 characters, dang. Yeah, I can relate to that part of it, not try to type on anyone else's keyboard. After using this Kinesis, wherever it's at here, for too long, I can't. Like, I switched to a regular keyboard and it's bad. I can't do it anymore. Like, I do space, like space is on the right thumb only, not the left thumb. So like you can only use that, and then what happens is backspace and delete are on the left thumb. So when I switch back to a regular keyboard, if I try to erase something, like give me the image here, view image. That's really small, doesn't matter. If I try to erase something with my left thumb, because remember left thumb is where backspace and delete, I hit spacebar, and then I try to delete the space that I accidentally typed, and I hit it again, and I end up just spamming spacebar instead of doing anything useful. So I have ruined myself for regular keyboards. I can relate to that part of it. If you have a special keyboard with all kinds of different characters set up, and you try to move to one that doesn't, it could be huge pain. Different reason, but same concept of like I just can't use regular keyboards now. Okay, let's say get tile. Let's call it, let's leave that how it is, and let's say def get tile name. Takes the same thing, tile chords. Chords we will call get tile first, tile ID. Yeah, tile ID is get self dot get tile chords, and then whoops, not JavaScript, then get the property self dot return self dot get tile property tile ID name. And then here, when we do a button, let's do get tile name. We could turn that print off. Okay. Let's go back to side by side. Wrong kind of camera. Okay, so A button gives us wall. Mo. I think we're off by 1. Because of the way that the IDs are 0 based, but in the data they're 1 based because 0 is empty. Just -1? I don't know about that. Oh, floor was correct. Wall is correct. Okay. And Blinka is not there. Ooh. So Blinka is not in the entity layer or the background layer. Why does that give us none though? Should be floor. Oh. You know what it's doing is it's finding the Blinka that's in here, and I didn't actually give Blinka a name. But the problem is we should be looking at the we should probably be looking at the current game state, not the map object layers. Because if we move Blinka, well, we don't have a way to move Blinka anymore because I made the cursor move instead. If we did still have a way to move Blinka though, we would move the Blinka player, and let's say if we added a name here, Blinka, then that tile wherever we put the Blinka inside the map will be the one that has the name Blinka, but wherever the actual Blinka icon is would say floor, because the actual Blinka icon is not part of the entity layer or the background layer. It's in its own thing. Yeah, take it easy, Keith. See you next week, possibly. I'll be here next week if you're around. Check us out. Yeah, Control C and mu. That's true. Yeah, I wish that it. I wish it didn't do Control Shift C. That is another one of the things I know. I just got done having what I thought was PyCharm go crazy on me. So there definitely PyCharm has got some downsides as well. But one thing is the terminals are just regular. You can highlight and do Control C. You can also do just Control F as well, or Control V, I mean, for pasting. The editor I use for the graphics. This one here is tiled. The name of it is tiled, T-I-L-E-D. I want to say it's like mapeditor.com or something. They have a really generic URL, but it's a standard. It's open, free, open source tile map editor. This is like a pay to add. I don't. This might be a different thing. This is like marketing and stuff. I have no idea what this is. Let's go back. This is what we want. Mapeditor.org. That's the website. Mapeditor.org. It's this software. I want to say it's on GitHub maybe. Yeah, you can check out the code. It's a standard. It's a commonly used though tool for editing these maps. And that's the main thing I wanted to hook up, was basically make it so we can use maps that are exported by this tool inside CircuitPython. Yeah, one thing I will say is, I mean, this tool that I'm using here, Tiled, it's really good for laying all your stuff out on the map and like building the maps that that are inside your game. As far as editing the individual artwork though, like editing each sprite icon, I'd probably still stick with A Sprite for that. In fact, I was talking about this cursor earlier, the way I changed the cursor from gray to teal, and I did do that inside of Sprite, so I use that as well. But the tiled is for laying out the maps, and then Sprite is for editing those individual icons. Okay, I don't think I'm going to get it fixed to where the cursor correctly points out the player, because that's going to take some more time. It needs to look at the current game state instead of referencing the original game state from the map. Truthfully, we need to maybe keep another thing, another list, and keep the current game state inside of it or something. I'm not sure exactly how we'll solve it, but it will require something like that. Everything else does seem to be working though. Terminal. So it is floor, Mo, Adabot, all of the walls, all the different types of wall. Yeah, looking good there. Okay. All right, so I think I'm going to call it here. I don't know what will be, I don't know if we'll work on this or libraries next week. Kind of take it week by week, but the next thing inside the game stuff that I will be working on whenever I do it is having the camera follow the movement, so follow the cursor or follow the player, depending on if we're using cursors or not. And then specifically with the cursor, the other thing I want to do is write the logic to where you could like point the cursor to a spot and then press a button and then have the player like move to that spot as long as the path is available. So it's got to do all of the checking to make sure that the path is actually available. And eventually we'll add a restriction on how many squares the user can use. But first we're just going to work on the basics to get it to move the player to wherever the cursor was and have it actually like go each tile in between. So not just teleport to there, but like walk over one, walk over one, walk over to the last one. Same thing, like if this was up here, you know, maybe the Blinka would go like over one, over one, over one, and then up one, and then up one. Like I want you to be able to see all of that. So there's a fair bit of logic that needs to be written to handle it, and that's one of the next things I'll work on. But for today, I think that's going to be all. Thank you all for hanging out. Quick, let's say shout outs. David G, thank you. Keith left a little bit ago, but thank you to Keith. Johnny, the Weblate gang, right? Johnny, Jose, Hugo was around. James, thank you for hanging out as well. Yeah, I think I got everybody. If I missed anybody, I'm sorry, but I definitely appreciate everybody who was here for hanging out. And I'll see you folks next week. Should be same time. I know Scott's going on Friday, so I'll just be Saturday again next week. I'll probably plan on doing, as long as I don't have anything going on Friday nights, if and when Scott takes the night off, I'll probably plan on keep doing the Friday nights whenever Scott's not around. So, but I think he said he's going to be there normal time next week, so I'll be just on Saturday again. So I will see you folks then. Till then, I'll talk to you later. Have a good day. Have a good weekend, everybody, and see you later.